The Lab of the Year competition has been running since, I believe, 1967 by R&D and the Lab Design Conference folks. When they ran into some financial difficulties in 2019, SEFA decided to take over the competition and to run it. And we felt in some ways that we could do better than they were doing, quite frankly. And one of the things that I always got feedback about when the lab design folks were doing it was that it wasn't a conflict-free judging panel. And, as a lawyer, that bothers me, that there were some conflicts. So in other words, people whose firm submitted a project were actually judging the projects. Not good. So what we did right away is we set up a deadline of August 1st every year, was the deadline to submit the projects. And it was only after the projects were submitted that we figured out who amongst our advisory board members were conflict-free. And then we tried to reach out to others as well. We've had architectural critics, we've had end users. We always like to involve the project that won the year before, involved in judging the next year's project, so we would do that. And so that's worked out quite well, because we've never been accused of having a conflicted member of our judging panel. And the judging panel would be anywhere from 5 to 7 or 8 judges. The advisory board really runs the program, okay? And I've always said this, and it's kind of interesting. The manufacturers, first of all, never, ever suggested that any one of them should be on the judging panel, okay? There's too much going on there. There's too much baggage between all of them that they knew that they could never be beyond their conflict. So it was kind of interesting, and it was just like, all right, let the advisory board decide these things, and David will manage it and whatever. So that's worked out quite well. And then it was decided that, and again, this is the feedback from when it was being run by others, that maybe we should have a set criteria and there should be a focus on the things that are important that the judges should look at. So there was 12 criteria established. And it gave the judges a focus, and I always believe that it should be as transparent as possible. So we let everybody know on the website, the Lab of the Year section of the website, that listen, these are the 12 criteria by which you will be judged. Okay, you should address those criteria when you do that. So when you submit your project. So that's worked out really well. And then we created a scoring system from 1 to 5, 5 being the best score for each one of those criteria. There are certain of them, 4 or 5 of them, that specifically related to the lab spaces. And so we do some calculations based on that, like who had the highest scores for those 4 or 5 categories that relate to lab spaces themselves. Because, there's always this debate, is this a beauty contest involving the entire building, right? Josh is shaking his head. So we've had this conversation before. Do the judges get completely overawed by the magnificence of the building, okay? And it's easy for that to happen, especially when I call this competition in some ways, jokingly, the battle of the billionaires. So it's billionaire money, especially in the United States, funding a lot of these big projects, right? Why? Because they need a charitable donation to offset massive, massive income tax exposure. That's why they do it. And thankfully, what they're doing is they're investing in research and science. That's where their focus is right now. And there's no better example than the lab tour that you're going on tomorrow. Kenneth C. Griffin Cancer Research Center, okay? I would assume that Ken Griffin, who runs Citadel, the hedge fund, he's moved from Chicago to Miami, He took his $64 billion and brought it down to Miami. And what was the first thing he did? Okay, let me throw a couple $100 million at the University of Miami for a research center. So that's all been a good thing that's happened. So this year, as I said before, we met at Rockefeller University in late September, as we typically do, and we spent an entire day, the judges did, going over all the projects, and the discussion was phenomenal. So what I'd like to do is have the 4 out of the 6 judges that are here to come up briefly and describe their experiences. So we have Diane, Alex, if he's in the room, Alex Kogan from Rockefeller University, great. That'd be Greg, and Stuart Lewis from FLED.
Okay, so this was my first time judging the competition, and I found it to be a very, it was actually a very enjoyable and exhausting in terms of having to review all of the projects. But what I loved the most was the getting together with the other judges and having the discussion and the dialogue about why we felt certain projects needed to rise to the top. And so for that, it was just really rewarding. I really enjoyed it and hope to do it again.
Well, for me, it was the 3rd time I was a judge. So it's been a very interesting experience over the years. I think the first time was in 2021, then 2023, and now 2025. And some of the criteria have been changing as we get a little bit more refined in the way we talk about things and what we look for. I think for a while we have been looking for certain types of projects, and we got a lot of great submissions this year. So it was really good to be able to see some different types of projects, and it was a great process. I changed my mind probably 2 or 3 times during the discussion based on what different people say. So on that note, I'll introduce Alex because he changed a lot of minds in the meeting.
No, as David said, it was such a unique experience. Great. All the submissions could have won easily. I think the joke is I was the only engineer or facilities director on this panel, and I come at it from a different angle. I know that engineering architecture, there's always a struggle, function over style. So I look at it from a whole different perspective. But it was great. I think we all changed our minds 10 times. But the process was phenomenal, and I'm very proud to be part of it. Thank you.
I was a first-time judge as well, and from my perspective, the quality of the entries was fantastic and consistently high. I think it's a tribute to the industry and to the finalists as well that you rose to the top of such a very, very competitive group. The projects were diverse, even though the quality was high, so it made the process of selecting the finalists and the recognized projects really, really difficult. But it was fun and dynamic, and I'm very thankful to be a part of it.
Great. And before I have L'Oreal present, there'll be time for questions and comments after their presentation. So and typically we do get that. There were 10 projects in all that were submitted this year. A number of them from the United States, of course, but there was also a project from China, from another project from Switzerland, second time in a row. There was a project from India, which was great to see. And there was another project from the UAE, from Abu Dhabi. So first time I think we've got a project from Abu Dhabi that came in, a government project. So it was all very interesting. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the folks from L'Oreal and from SLAM Collaborative and let them make their presentation.
So we have the clicker. Good morning. Not good. We're thrilled to be a finalist. We have our fingers crossed. I am Bob Polito with SLAM. I led the design team with me here today, probably should, is Susanna and Linda from L'Oreal that really led and managed the process and guided us throughout the entire process. And I want to also acknowledge that Philippe Fusteau, who could not make it here, also worked with Susanna and Linda to guide the project. At the far end here is Paul, who was the lead designer on the project and planner. He's going to talk to you about parts of that. And I also want to acknowledge Dave Edwards. Raise your hands. Dave did the heavy lifting on the labs. So, and what we're going to talk about is the Research and Innovation Center for L'Oreal, which is the largest research facility outside of Paris for L'Oreal. But what makes this facility really unique and special is the end-to-end process. From the lab bench to the retail shelf, all that component, the manufacturing, the research, the exploration, the manufacturing, the evaluation, all happens in one facility under one roof, which really expedites the product delivery process. L'Oreal is a leader in the cosmetic industry. It is a highly competitive, aggressive, fast-paced industry. L'Oreal changes its products, 10 to 15% of their projects every year. And the goal of this facility was help them facilitate and expedite that product development process. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about some of the unique features of this. And Susanna's going to kick us off.
Okay, thank you, Bob. So thank you, everybody. I am Susana Valves. I lead the real estate function in L'Oreal. And I am very honored to be here to celebrate innovation, dedication, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. We are gathered to recognize projects that truly embody the spirit of discovery and collaboration. And in L'Oreal, we are thrilled to present the North America Research and Innovation Center. But first, I would like to talk a little bit about L'Oreal Group. We are a global leader with an extraordinary portfolio of 37 international brands built upon incredible 115 years of scientific innovation. Our commitment to cutting-edge research is evidenced in our 21 research centers across 30 countries, and they are powered by a dedicated research and innovation team of 4,000 brilliant scientists and supported for more than 8,000 digital talents. This vast network and talent pool underscore our commitment to shaping the future of beauty through science and technology. But of course, at the heart of our mission, create the beauty that moves the world, is not just a slogan, it's a guiding principle that drives our science, our innovators, and every member of our global family. It inspires and pushes boundaries to imagine new possibilities and to develop products and experiences that not only meet consumer needs, but also anticipate to them, making a positive impact in our life around the globe. So today, we particularly celebrate a cornerstone of our mission, which is our North America Research and Innovation Center. It's located in Clark, New Jersey, and is a state-of-the-art facility which reached their completion in January 2025. Okay, so we didn't finish the video, but I will continue here. Some project facts. This impressive building is 257 square feet gross with a usable area of 183,000 square feet, and in which we meticulously design different activities integrated in one space, like very modern offices, advanced laboratories, essential lab support areas, dedicated consumer testing facilities, and a cutting-edge pilot and demi-grant area in which we scale our formulas to production level. So all support, but a very efficient warehouse and everything under one roof. This ambition project represents the culmination of a very strategic move. It's a project made in phases. We were located in Clark in 5 different buildings for more than 50 years. They are all part of all our acquisitions and our history in the community of Clark. And the project really tried to put everybody together in one roof. So this is why we decided to renovate one of the buildings, which is our 30 terminal facility, and expand this facility with a new addition and an expansion of our warehouse. So the first phase was to allocate all our industrial pilot demi-grant inside of the existing building. The second phase was to build the addition, and the third phase was to mobilize the population that we have inside of 30T, renovate 30T, and consolidate everybody in one building. It was a 4-year project, very complex, with a lot of participation for our employees, and of course the whole team that make this possible. And this is the final look of the building. As you see, it's a single floor building based on our existing footprint in Clark, but we try to make a very elegant facility, very efficient, and dedicate most of the investment that we put in our labs and in our people.
So this is just sort of the pillars and the goals that we set for ourselves. Obviously, for L'Oreal, sustainability is a huge corporate mission. So that was an important component of this. And then really bringing the people together, a healthy environment. Probably the most important thing here is getting everybody under one roof, everybody as part of a single community, whether you're a researcher or you're in the manufacturing, you see the entire process and you're part of the whole. And that's probably the most important thing. And then, of course, the flexibility. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the components of it. So we had a tough mission for ourselves. You can see a 1970s industrial building. The goal was to capture L'Oreal's image, their identity, their brand, their culture. And we were able to renovate the facility, reskin the facility, and sort of capture that L'Oreal brand, the clean, sophisticated, progressive image throughout the entire facility on the exterior, as well as on the interior, which is always a combination of art, science, and fashion throughout the entire facility, really opening it up from what was a very closed, siloed environment to something where everybody is working together and creating a central hub where everybody connects socially in the building. Here are the major components of the facility: the executive office areas, the lab areas, the demi-grand, which is a small manufacturing facility, and the consumer evaluation. And all of this is about that constant feedback loop that really progresses the product development process. And how from the labs to the demi-grand, from the demi-grand to the consumer, testing and evaluation, to the warehousing and out to the public. It's all about creating an iterative process, not a linear process that you get to the end and then if you have a problem, you have to start again at the beginning. This is all about getting people to collaborate and communicate all under one roof, which starts with really the image and the brand and the culture that we were creating that combination of fashion, art, and science, even in the lobby areas. And then the labs. They have a couple of unique qualities. The red area is really the analytical, and the blue is sort of the flexible basic science and research laboratories. A lot of visibility in and out of the lab. Probably what's most important, because we have so many products and so many research teams in the labs, was to really get them to communicate with each other, but also to be able to reconfigure the lab on a regular basis. And to do that, we had the overhead service area with all the services, data, power, all the utilities, providing the flexibility for that with service panels. That was by Wobotech. And then to create even more flexibility, we have what we call the hitching post, which is the vertical services column, which is on wheels that plugs into the ceiling. It has about a 2-meter diameter radius that you can actually move all your benches around, move the service panel around, and really reconfigure the lab in the matter of minutes, which was really important because of all the products and all the teams that they're collaborating with. And this is something that they can do on their own, and you can see creates a great deal of flexibility. The other thing to notice here is there's no reagent shelves. That all the storage is on the perimeter of the building or in dedicated areas, and that's because we wanted to connect. L'Oreal wanted to connect their colleagues across all their different product lines and wanted the visibility across the facility to do that. And we've all been in those labs with reagent shelves. They close in pretty quickly. And it does start to separate the workers in the facility. So this is a real goal, to have as much transparency and visual connection throughout the entire facility. And you can just begin to see. And from the labs, you go immediately into the Demigran, the small manufacturing facility where all the products are manufactured, they're packaged. What is unique about it is it's embedded right in the middle of the labs. So instead of having a manufacturing facility on another site, in another state, another location, it's right there. The researchers go into the Demigran, into the manufacturers go into the labs. They work together on finding out what is working, what's not working. It really expedites the product development process. Once again, you don't have to go through a linear process. Wait till you get to the end, there's a problem, start all over. This is an iterative process that happens through all the components, the different components of the facility. From lab to Demigran to consumer evaluation, and Paul's going to take you through that.
Hello, everybody. As Bob mentioned, my role was to help lead the design process, the planning and interior design process for this project. I would just say that nothing in my 30-plus years of experience would have prepared me to work with a unique client like L'Oreal and a dynamic project like this. All of our clients, they expect us to do exceptional work. L'Oreal demanded exceptional work. And I can say that it was very rare that working with Susanna and Linda that they accepted our first option. We had to go through a process of inquiry and options to arrive at the perfect solution. What we're sharing here is the consumer evaluation area. Again, Bob mentioned that's really part of this whole process. We designed this area first to feel like a very cool, hip commercial salon. So as the volunteers come in, they're welcome to this beautiful waiting area. They can see directly into the salon area. And that's actually designed to be quite flexible. The glass walls actually can be opened up so we can have large, expansive events in this area. And then there's a series of additional spaces that help with the testing and support the testing. So as they're working with the volunteers, they're able to take those volunteers into these other spaces, such as color reading spaces, color treatment areas. There's 16 application statements, application stations. There's an imaging area, and there's also a focus room, and they're actually able to work with the volunteers and get direct feedback. And that allows them to collect metrics and data that they then take back to the labs. So again, the office area was really designed to complement the labs and the research area. It was very important that this area had a kind of lofty open feel. And I think for every one work setting that we provided almost 2 ancillary seating areas. So you can see here, you can see there's actually a variety of spaces in this image. There's some open informal areas. There's what we call the bubble clusters. So the bubble clusters were actually a series of huddle rooms, and each one of those bubble clusters was actually a unique geometry. So I would say that literally every collaboration space was almost unique in and of itself. And they were all fit out with technology so that there was, they were able to connect with technology, connect globally with other people in other areas as well. These images to me speak volumes about the nature of this design, this kind of connection between, the research labs and the more lofty informal work area. You can actually see we actually included some prefab bubbles late in the process. So again, that was just another variety of a collaboration space for people to engage and to work in. This space right here actually was the office area connected to the Demigran. So this was in that very first phase, and this allowed us to kind of begin to establish the style of architecture and design for the interior. This actually is in the original 30T space that Susanna referred to. So this was the original manufacturing area. It had a very tall ceiling, which was great, but we still had to contend with that very tall ceiling and how to create these intimate spaces within that tall industrial space. So one of the things that we also did, and it was a very important part of the program, was to create a series of amenities that helped to build that community. And, it helped with attracting talent, it helps with retaining talent, and just bringing all these people together when they're not in the research labs. This area is what we call the town center. This actually occurs at an intersection between 2 main circulation paths. So it really helped with wayfinding. That was a problem in the existing facility. You just never knew where you were. So you would come into this space. We were actually able to create what we call a light monitor. Because of the very deep floor plate, we actually had to create these light monitors with clear stories to really emit daylight deep into all these spaces. If you spend a day in this facility, it's just amazing the daylight and the dynamic daylight as the sun moves around the facility. What you're looking at here is an image that you see right when you come in the entry. You see the image of the founder of L'Oreal doing research. So again, it's all based on science, right next to the cafe bar, which is based on let's have a drink and talk. This is the cafeteria space. Again, a very important community space. L'Oreal strongly encourages people to not eat at their desk, which I know a lot of Americans do in their offices. I can say all the times I've been to L'Oreal and I've gone into this cafeteria at lunchtime, it is hopping. I mean, it is hard to get a seat. I mean, people come into this space, they bring their lunches, they buy lunch here. L'Oreal has a food service offering, which is wonderful. It has incredible offerings and healthy offerings, and they actually are growing some of their own food out in what we call the Victory Gardens in the outdoor space, which is this space. So again, the cafeteria has this indoor-outdoor connection. Yet another great community space where you can flow outside into this outdoor patio, and you can see at the corner of that image the boxes, which are actually gardening boxes, where the employees are actually growing their own food and then bringing it back into the kitchen to share with others. And I'm going to let Linda talk about sustainability. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Linda Emory, and I take a lot of pride in running the operations of this site as a campus manager. I'm here to share with you one of the pillars of this project, which was sustainability. It wouldn't be L'Oreal by only taking care of our own employees and forgetting the neighbors that we have around the site, the biodiversity that belongs to the site, and also different aspects regarding energy, water, and waste. As you could see in the pictures, the project really took into consideration building spaces where our employees, they have a sense of belonging, they have a sense of pride, there's social engagement, there's support and inclusivity. Energy, L'Oreal doesn't just talk the talk, we walk the walk. And in the pictures what you've seen regarding electricity, we just don't claim energy neutrality by buying credits. The project actually built in an expansive solar grid. So we self-consume the energy that gets produced in the solar grid. Any new mechanical equipment that was installed didn't have any fossil fuels so that it could be powered. And in regards of the construction material that was used, it was very intentional not to use or very minimal carbon embodied materials. Water. With the consolidation of the 5 buildings into one, we've been able to reduce the consumption of our water and similarly creating in the near future a water loop for our wastewater. Waste, as of now, running the operations, we are counting with a 50% reduction in our waste. Again, consolidating raw materials, materials that are used in the lab like pipettes and different other consumables. Biodiversity. We really cherish our little town of Clark, New Jersey, and we are conscious of the native biodiversity that we have. And as you will see in some of these pictures, yes, we are a beauty company, and yes, our campus looks very beautiful, but every bush, every flower, every tree that was planted was intentionally there to support the local biodiversity, which is very cherished by our employees and also our visitors. Like I was mentioning before, he's just a visual of our solar grid that covers not only the extension of the building, but also the parking lots, which is really appreciated on those hot summer days by our employees. In terms of operations, we have a building management system, a BMS, and a microgrid platform that helps us optimize uses of HVAC, electricity, ventilation, and we're able to pinpoint times when the building is fully occupied and when it's not, therefore regulating our energy usage and our equipment uptime. Some of the key features that maybe you were able to appreciate in the pictures, the project team was able to incorporate natural elements of the construction. So instead of seeing a concrete decking, what we have in the extension is it's wood. It brings a comfortable feeling into the space that is much appreciated by our engineers, our chemists, our scientists. As it was mentioned previously, we know Miami has nice sun, and New Jersey sometimes we also do, and we take advantage of that natural light, bringing it into the space, not only the office but also in the labs. We are increasing our composting and recycling operations now that we can manage one site. We're able to optimize those work streams. And our goal is to achieve zero waste for both waste, solid waste and wastewater. Just a quick picture of what it looks like outside in regards to the greenery and the biodiversity. We have over 100 native plants, a couple of bat houses that on a good day, on a good evening, if you happen to stay late, you will see them flying in and out, and beehives as well. As I mentioned before, the biodiversity, the choice of the greenery that was done, it has an actual function, not just to make it look pretty, but it supports the local wildlife, and many of our employees in regards to the Victory Gardens, they participate actively in the seeding and in the maintenance of these gardens. We've received some feedbacks that, let's say maybe you had to work from home that day. We have employees that are assigned to those Victory Gardens. It'll be their day for irrigate them, to take care of them, and they'll be there for that. Besides, of course, doing their innovation and science. In some of the pictures, you'll be able to appreciate we have 2 ponds. Again, they're not there just to make the site look pretty, but they have a function which is to manage our storm water. We get a lot of rains, heavy rains, and these ponds have really helped move any of the rain out of the building and hold it into these spaces so that we don't have to deal with any flooding issues. And thank you. That's pretty much it. Susana.
Okay, so we talk a lot about collaboration, about the speed to market, but we would like in this next video to show you what it truly means to our individuals and to our employees. So please let me introduce you to this video. And here are some of the testimonials of our employees. As you can see, We have a big success with this project, and the nomination today is not only truly to recognize this magnificent building, but also the collective vision, the dedication, and the collaborative spirit that brought this to life. And to every team member, to every partner, and every individual to contribute to making this dream a reality, you have my deepest gratitude. You have not just built a facility, but you have built the future of L'Oréal innovation. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. First, I want to congratulate the SLAM and L'Oreal team for an exceptional project and quite an inspiring project. So congratulations, and there's no losers on this podium today. I'm Randy Cray. I'm Director of Science and Technology for HOK and was privileged enough to work on the Emory Health Science Research Building 2, along with my colleague and partner, Chirag Mistry here. So we're going to present the second phase of a vision for translational science at Emory University that was realized in 2023. I'll start with some project details for you. HSRB2, as I said, is the second phase of a health science research initiative, really with a vision towards bringing knowledge and discovery to translation and to the clinical outcomes for Emory University, wanting to be one of the preeminent research academic medical centers in the world. The project's approximately 360,000 gross square feet, of which 210,000 are laboratory space, or 77% of the project. A total net area of 210,000 net square feet, so that 167,000 of lab space is 70% of the net area. We want to first acknowledge an amazing team. Great projects happen from teamwork and collaboration, both on the multidisciplinary design side as well as on the builder side. So HOK was the architect, lead lab programming planner, interior designer, structural engineer, and landscape and sustainability. RG Vanderwall engineers were the main MEP engineers, and J.E. Dunn was the contractor and a great partner to work with here through challenging times, building through COVID, and a special acknowledgement to Josh Meyer and Jacobs Lab Consulting for being a key partner in the programming and early lab planning design for the project. Thank you, Josh. And an acknowledgement to the SEFA members that made a major contribution to this project. Bedco Lab for the casework, and the fume hoods, American Epoxy Scientific for the work surfaces, Water Saver for the laboratory fixtures, and BIMOS lab seating for the project. So the key goals and vision for this project that came from the leadership at Emory University, the Dean, Vikosh, and David Stevens, the VP of Research, was that this project was to realize a vision for translational research, and specifically the bringing together of the revolution in computational science and artificial intelligence to co-locate with wet research and experimental research, and to really become, really to build in the most advanced tools possible for that realization, and really to be, if you will, a hub for the integration of the clinical enterprise and the research enterprise at the Emory School of Medicine. In order to do that, it needed to be a place that really supported the science, both from a technical and a scientific standpoint, but also from a well-being and a wellness and a health perspective as well. And I think that the project really stands out from all those accounts, much like the project we just witnessed does as well. So in order to meet this challenge and these goals, really this design response, first and foremost, tries to create a community space, not just for the researchers in the building, but for the whole campus. I'll talk a little bit about the challenges and opportunities with that. but really to create a heart for all of Emory's research and the clinical enterprise, and to create an innovation ecosystem as well. In order to do that, we had to create interconnected, contiguous, flexible laboratory infrastructure. And we had to integrate and really bring to bear here the most advanced technology platforms we can for advanced research, both from a digital and from an experimental, cellular, and molecular standpoint. So first of all, you can see HSRB2 as its evolution and connectivity to the HSRB1 project was a building completed in 2013. And this was considered to be all one HSRB when it was done. That was a critical key success factor here. But the really important nature of the project was two things. One, it was on the edge of campus, so a real challenge for us was how do you create a sort of a magnet or a center for coming together and integration of the entire health sciences population on the edge of campus. And then the second part was how do you take advantage of an incredible natural asset in Lullwater Preserve, which is Emory's sort of private forest walkway. I live about 2 miles from Emory University, and this is the place where my wife and I go to have our best walks on Sundays. So it was really, how do we take advantage of this, of the opportunity to leverage Lullwater Preserve here for scientists and for the whole community? And secondly, how do we make this a place where people, come to, even if this isn't sort of the center of their work activity? The other key aspect of this project is it's was part of a global master plan for sort of technology consolidation and advanced technology platforms, really looking at a long-term vision of how the School of Medicine was going to invest in the most advanced technologies for discovery and translational research. And you can see that big bubble to the right there, to the east, which was really the consolidation of technologies at the Health Science Research Building. This is quite a large capital investment in infrastructure, and of the $25 million in equipment investment that Emory's planned, $14 million of that went into the HSRB2 building. What came out of that after a lot of design exploration, planning exploration, was a concept of, if you will, 2 bars or 2 towers for HSRB1, 2, pardon me, sort of gathered around or encompassing a central community space or hub for them. The bar on the left is a dry computational research bar, and the bar on the right is the wet research bar. And a really notion of creating as much openness and connectivity to the Lullwater Preserve as we could. And the other part of this strategy is really placing this interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, flexible research platform on top of a foundation of core technologies, in vivo research, and a special clinical imaging center and so forth that Chirag's going to get into more detail about. But it's really a flexible platform sitting on top of a technology platform is part of the core concept. This just illustrates a little bit of the notion of the dry research bar in blue facing the Lullwater Preserve with the openness, and the wet research bar and the interconnectivity of research neighborhoods and core facilities and that facing the main campus. But really, another way to look at this, is how did we create a dynamic ecosystem between wet and dry? How do we connect the two populations together? And a key strategy or conceptual framework that we really looked at was this notion of the medieval cloister as being the first really laboratory infrastructure around where this notion of movement, walking, and really the interconnectivity with moments of sort of heat or interaction and collaboration happening in that, if you will, circle of movement that we tried to create with the project, and successfully, I believe, created in that. So if we start to see that realized, we start to understand if you will, the dynamic nature of this central sort of hub space in that. It is quite beautiful. It's quite inspiring. It's a place where everyone from campus does come and want to collect and collaborate. It's quite common to see people saying, from our understanding, meet at HSRB's hub and atrium space and that as a key sort of successful collaboration point for the entire campus. What's important and what makes it successful is the amount of openness, daylight, and connectivity and biophilia in the project. We've taken the places with the best daylight, the best greenery and positive space, amenities such as coffee, food, kitchens, et cetera, and made those sort of these collaboration hubs or journeys along this sort of walking pathway, if you will. And it culminates in an openness and, if you will, opening up to the low water preserve. Every floor for the researchers has a open balcony and patio where they can go out and work and collaborate and if you will, experience and enjoy the natural amenity of the low water preserve. And it's highly used. It has Wi-Fi, it has power, and people spend a good part of their days working in that space. The place also is continually engaging you and informing you. There's living walls that dynamically show imaging happening in the building. There's information places and interactive screens, especially in the main floor. And then there's other key celebrations of the nature of the work in HSRB too. But the key star of the show is somewhat the atrium and this very unique, special architectural space that we created. It's 6 stories tall with a very dynamic architecture and so forth. But what's really important is the way the design intent that went into this skylight and this entire space. The engineering, the structure was all parametrically designed to be quite efficient. The canting of the space, if you look at it in section, the organization of the shape around the skylight is specifically designed to bring natural light deep into the building. The actual cone, if you will, that holds the skylight is how many thousand tiles?
I don't know that, but it's 30 feet by 100 feet,
Right.
the dimension, and 30 feet tall.
And it's all of that soffit is shaped with 1 foot square acoustic tiles that do a phenomenal job of making the space comfortable acoustically. And there's a frit on the skylight that also diffuses the light so that there's no glare and it's quite comfortable at all times. And for anyone of interest, the skylight reduced the lighting energy intensity load of the building by 10%. And the anticipated cost of maintenance for that skylight over time is 3% of the energy savings from that skylight in that. So it's a highly efficient sort of good investment, both from a wellness qualitative and a quantitative standpoint. Just briefly touching on the architecture of the building, Emory has very specific language of architecture, a certain type of marble that's used on all their buildings, red roofs, et cetera, as well as we had the precedent of HSRB 1, 2. So what we have is a very good, a beautiful addition to the Emory language that faces the campus. But on the low water side, it really opens up and becomes a lot more engaging. Well, at night, it completely is transparent and allows views into the building. And it really integrates with the outdoor landscape that was designed to support the scientific communities as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chirag Mistry. I had the privilege of leading this project from the design team standpoint, and I'm going back 2018. So it's been quite a journey, and I feel extremely privileged that we had the opportunity to design this amazing facility. So I'm just going to quickly walk through some of the key areas of the building to give you all an idea of what are the components in the building itself. There's a significant part of the translational research aspect that Randy mentioned. There's a significant component of bringing together internal and external partnership to the building. So the first floor is dedicated to the innovation program where external industry have the ability to co-locate with Emory researchers and produce some groundbreaking work there. Part of this includes a lot of different types of spaces to cater to industry research, starting with kind of creating this central hub, central energy. It's nothing like food that can bring everybody together. So creating that on the very first floor and the atrium space is a great attractor to getting everybody together. And then just this nature of this dynamic atrium space that can evolve over time, it's been used for roundtable discussions, seminar spaces, kind of in the evening type events with dinners and receptions and other things. So it provides Emory with an amazing amenity and asset that can bring together a lot of different types of folks to the building. Part of that industry innovation space, what we call Labs to Launch, this is a program run by Emory School of Medicine, and it has the ability for the industry partners to rent at a bench level, a 6-foot bench, to a room level, to a neighborhood level, and so forth. It also provides some significant tool sets and capabilities like cell 3D printing, AR, VR capabilities, and other things for startup companies that don't have those abilities to scale their products. So they can come visualize, they can come model those things, and then also build and grow from here. Just in the span of a year and a half of the building opening, there are already 8 different companies that have formed right here at Emory and are growing. The demand for this space is astronomical. The biggest hurdle in getting this space is parking. If you've ever been on an Emory camp or any urban campus, you will realize how difficult parking situation is. And that's been probably the biggest hurdle for them, is not being able to provide sufficient parking because of the nature of where they are. But the demand still continues to grow for these types of spaces. You see some of the other industry-focused labs. This is what we call the novel tech areas, where the industry can lease about 1,000 square feet of space that is IP protected, so they can have their own multiple different industries working at the same time without having the issue of security or other challenges. And then as we move up into the building, levels 2 through level 6 are fairly similar organized for a variety of biomedical translational research platforms. Randy walked you through kind of the wet lab zone and the dry lab computational zone, but it's all centered around a principal investigator team and a neighborhood. So we have 3 neighborhoods on every floor. It's about 30 people, 30 principal investigators on every floor between the computationalists, the PIs, and then we specifically located core technologies or the service-driven labs on each of the floors as an attraction to bring people together and facilitate the movement across both the buildings and promote some of that collaboration aspects. Here's a view looking into the open lab. We have seamless integration between all of the open lab environments, so folks can migrate as their teams grow and shrink over time, and then can also be highly flexible space in the open lab environment. Part of the lab ecosystem, there are a lot of specialized rooms as well for isolation purposes, microbiology purposes, and so forth. So this is just one example of a microscopy suite. A key challenge for us in the project was the floor-to-floor height. For my fellow lab planners and architects in the room, we start off every lab project at 16 feet floor-to-floor. At a minimum, we would go to 15 feet floor-to-floor. This building is at 14 feet floor-to-floor, and that was a significant engineering challenge for us to accommodate that, from getting as tall ceilings as possible in the lab space. So we were able to get 10 feet clear ceilings in the lab spaces. We had to create these, what we call the ductwork highway, and work closely with our structural engineers and mechanical engineers to come up with innovative solution of a flat slab design while meeting the strict vibration criteria for the building and sandwiching all of that ductwork within 2 feet of space. And it's been very efficient and it works really well. Just outside each of the lab neighborhood areas, we have the write-up zones. This is for the computational side and or the write-up for the wet lab technicians in the lab itself. But everywhere where you look in the building, you have access to daylight and views and the ability to connect with people on the same floor or multiple floors together. So that was one of the key objectives of the floor. And then now I'm going to move down to the plinth of core technology that Randy described earlier. This is what we call our level G1. This is the biggest floor plate in the building. It spans the entire site. It's about 65,000 gross square feet, the entire floor plate. And it accommodates a series of amazing technology, including a large animal facility, high containment BSL-3, ABSL-3 spaces, and then a good amount of clinical research components that Randy described earlier. The clinical research components is kind of dual function. It caters to both the animal, large animal models, and then also volunteer human subjects as well. Yeah, just some of the examples of the spaces in the building. We have a very robust animal facility that's predominantly small rodents, but also includes zebrafish and some very specialized transgenic mouse core and other cores as well. Highly rich procedure space in the building. So this building is meant to be a magnet for all of the animal research happening on campus. So PIs can come to this building and cater to their work in here. Some of the containment labs in the building, there's a very flexible, multi-species, multi-pathogen ABSL-3, BSL-3 labs in the space. It's probably it is the biggest high containment space on Emory's campus. And then a floor below, we have some very additional core technology platforms and very unique platforms. This being an automated biorepository that can house 3 million samples of kind of what typically a PI team stores in -80 refrigerators. This is replacing about 100 -80 freezers in the building. So it is very cost efficient, space efficient, energy efficient, and has triple redundancy to give Emory and the PIs the confidence about storing their samples, important samples in this component. The other key things on this floor, we have a full-on cyclotron in the building that's producing novel radioisotopes for novel therapeutic drugs and other things. We've got hot cells where those are manipulated, and then imaging where they can be used for biomarker testing and other things in the building. Here's kind of the hot cells that we work very closely with a lot of different manufacturers. The amount of equipment coordination between the design team, the client side, the researchers, engineering team, but also the manufacturers. Oftentimes, science buildings, that's a key component for some of these specialized spaces, is working very closely with the manufacturers. So we're working with GE and Von Galen in 4 different time zones and trying to coordinate this over years and years of work. Here's some additional part of that Center for Systems Imaging. It caters to both kids all the way up to senior citizens as well as part of this testing. A big component of this was the first 7 Tesla human scale MRI. That's the first in Georgia. There's only 23 in the country, and probably one of the first ones in the Southeast as well. So this is a big boy. This is 65,000 pounds on an elevated slab that we had to accommodate, not only where its final location is, but the entire travel path of how it comes together, located in place, and then building all around it. And that was a significant engineering feat that our team was able to accommodate. What you see on the right is the picture of when we brought it. It literally came down to inches. We were very restricted by how far we can go deep into the ground here. We were sitting on rocks, so every feet we dig deep down, it was another $2 million to the project. So we were very tight on how far we could go. And then lastly, I'll end on the sustainability aspects. Randy mentioned a few things about sustainability. This project is achieved LEED Gold certification. We are less than 50% of energy use intensity of what a building like this with significant animal facility, high containment spaces, and significant wet lab intensive building would be. We are 60% efficient or 60% water savings as well, which is significant for a building of this type. And then just some very quick diagrammatic kind of ideas about energy and water use reduction. So we are capturing a lot of rainwater, using it for condensate recovery. There is a black water treatment system opportunity in the building that Emory is going to grow over time as they build part of this precinct of the campus. And then a variety of other features that gets us our energy down significantly. We also have a microgrid. So part of the Solar Ready project, we have installed a 2 megawatt microgrid that can cater to all of the research in the building. And then from wellness and biophilia standpoint, there's a lot of amazing opportunity just given the nature of where we are on the site with proximity to Lull Water Park, having the transparency and ability to connect with all of those. We also were very cognizant of the location and what it may do to birds as they are migrating through this site to Lull Water Preserve. So there's a lot of bird-friendly grazing on the building itself to avoid any of those accidents. And here's kind of just last couple images of the building. Anywhere you stay in the building between level 1 and 6, you have amazing access to daylight and views. You're very quickly can see all the way to Lull Water Preserve, which again is a one-off unique opportunity for this site. And then people have different variety of spaces to congregate, collaborate, and also get away and have some respite zones throughout the building as well. And with that, we'll just end the presentation here. We've been very fortunate to have the project kind of get recognized on various forums, and we really appreciate this opportunity to present this to you all. And thank you to the judges, and thank you to SEFA for this recognition as the finalists for the project.
Anybody have any questions, comments? Great, thank you. Thank you so much.
I'll get that later.
The first thing I want to do is that the judges decided to acknowledge 2 projects and give them a special recognition award. So to Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, the Central Research Lab, the judges decided to give that project a special recognition for excellence in strategic campus planning. Cohn Peterson Fox Associates was the architect. Waldner was involved in that project. These are SEFA members, Hung Wang, Fundamax, and Wilson Art. If I missed any members in these projects, come up anyway. Or after I make all these announcements, everybody will come up and get their awards, and there'll be pictures taken and things like that, and you'll be instantly famous throughout the world. The next special recognition award goes to the Grid Storage Launchpad, Pacific Northwest National Lab. It's a special recognition for excellence in technical design and engineering. Kirksey Architecture, Lab Crafters, Durcon, and Water Saver. Great job on that, and it was a great job that the judges did in recognizing those 2 projects for their special features. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to open up the envelope, and the first thing I will do is announce the High Honors Award for Excellence in Adaptive Reuse, L'Oreal North America Research and Innovation Center, Clark, New Jersey. The SEFA members I have involved in that project is Berdnola, Lab Crafters, Kawani, Mila, and Water Saver, but there may be others here. So if there are any, is there anybody else, SEFA member that was involved at a project, please come up and have your picture taken. And then the 2025 SEFA Lab of the Year goes to Emory University Health Science Research Building 2 in Atlanta, Georgia. Congratulations. Bedco Lab, American Epoxy, Water Saver, and I think there was a seating company as well. Great job. And everybody come up and get your awards. I think we'll do special recognition first, Barbara. special recognition awards for both Hong Kong University, Waldner, Fundamax I know is here, somebody from Wilson Art, if you were here, come up and accept your award. And then for the Grid Storage Launchpad, Kirksey, I know Brian is here, Lab Crafters, Durcon, and Water Saver. And this gentleman here is going to take your picture. Right there, this gentleman in black. Great, congratulations. And then the Pacific Northwest Launchpad, Lab Crafters, Durcon, and Water Saver. And once again, if I missed anybody, come on. Yeah, do it so that the SEFA. I thought for a moment we were doing a lab tour at Hong Kong University. It was close. Guangzhou, China. Great. And the High Honors Award winner for excellence in adaptive reuse goes to L'Oreal. And I have Bernola, Lab Crafters, Kawani, Mila, and Water Saver. And Emory University Health and Sciences Research Building 2, the 2025 Lab of the Year winner. And on this one, I have Betco Lab, American Epoxy, Water Saver. And someone mentioned the seating manufacturer. I don't know if they're here. Oh, BMOS? BMOS. Is anybody from BMOS here? Hey, Mike, you want to just step in? I mean, you might as well. I mean, so selfish. Give somebody else a chance, Mike. American Epoxy is here. Go. No American Epoxy. Petco. Yes. Well done. Great. Wow, they're still talking to each other. That's a successful project.